Hey, courageous school leaders. Welcome to Lead Beyond Limits, the space where school leaders like you gain unfiltered insights from educators, uncover the hidden barriers holding your staff back, and get practical strategies to lead with confidence. If you're ready to tackle the real challenges in your schools and create the clarity your team needs to thrive, you're in the right place. Let's dive in and get to work.
Good evening, courageous leaders. Dr. Demia here. I hope everyone is doing well. Today is June 30th, and I'm excited to bring another 4-part mini-series to you. And today is episode 1 of the 4-part series, or part 1 of the 4-part series, okay? And what we're talking about today is defining the win. So as a school leader, how are you defining the win? When I'm running into and discovering with school leaders is that the language is there, we have the verbiage, but we don't have a clear definition on what those things actually mean, like culture and, is there a uniform understanding on your leadership team as to what certain terms mean, the terms that you use every single day? Does your school understand what those terms mean in your specific building, in your context, right? Because there is a universal definition of terms and words like culture and accountability and those kinds of things. But does your school, what is the meaning and definition as it pertains to you, your school leadership team, and your school staff? How does your school operate and under one band, one sound, right? And so today we're going to talk about how you can fix any confusion, begin to fix the confusion that may exist with your leadership team, okay? So the 4-part series is what this data demands, right? We're going to talk about how to build a stronger instructional culture throughout your building. So welcome back again. For those of you who are new here, my name is Dr. Demia Thomas, and we meet every Monday to talk about some leadership moves that you can begin to incorporate or think about and discuss with your team, okay? And so this is a space where we stop spinning and start leading with clarity, confidence, and with systems that we actually serve, okay? So let me take you back to a school that I supported last fall. The walkthrough data looked like this. Some teachers had clear objectives. Others skipped the I can statements, right? And a few others were trying to use data-driven small groups, but it wasn't sticking. So the principal said, I don't get it. Like, we've trained on all of this, but when I met with the ILT, it hit me. Everyone had a different idea of what good instruction looked like. And to make it worse, no one could define what follow through meant. What does that mean? That's when I knew that this wasn't really a training issue, it was a clarity issue. The team needed clarity on what these terms meant. What does it look like and sound like, right? So confusion actually kills consistency. Here's where the problem is, that the confusion kills consistency. And right now is a good time for you, by the way. Let me put a pin here. If you have your clarity and confidence workbook or reflection guide to go with the Lead Beyond Limits conversations every week, please access those now. If you do not, direct message me and I will send them to you, okay? So the problem is that confusion kills consistency. There's a clarity gap. And if there's a clarity gap, then that's going to equal a culture gap in your building. So if confusion will definitely drain trust of your staff. If your team doesn't know what success looks like, they can't support teachers well, if you're right, or hold each other accountable if they don't have a picture of what that looks like. So here are 3 signs that I need you to think about, 3 signs that your instructional leadership team is unclear. 1, Everyone defines success differently. It looks different. 2, success exists, but only when the principal enforces it. That's a huge challenge. 3, feedback will vary. It varies wildly depending upon who gives it. So there's no normed um, process or no norming on how feedback looks and sounds, right? Because it will definitely look different. As a school leader, you can take take a look at your coach's feedback and your assistant principal's feedback for the same teacher, and I'm sure it's going to look different. If it has, that means there's no norming that's occurring. Okay, so let's be honest about this. Like, this isn't about effort. We're not saying that your staff are not putting in the effort, your instructional leadership team. This is about alignment. So let's not get the two of those confused. Okay, this is about alignment. So those are the 3 signs that your instructional leadership team is still unclear. Everyone defines success differently. Systems exist, but only the principal is enforcing it, and feedback will vary. So here are 3 moves that you can I need you to consider when you're defining the win. What does the win look like, right? The first thing to do is you need to make goals visible. If it lives in your head, or in a PD deck from August, it's not a goal anymore, because no one knows what it is. It's pretty much like a ghost. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are keeping it visible all the time. And it sounds redundant, but redundancy is communication. Over communicate what you are expecting to see. Okay, past expectations in a shared document don't help. You need to keep those expectations clear and in a document that everyone on your leadership team can access. It should be in the hallways. It should be in the staff rooms. It should be everywhere, right? Keep the language consistent across coaching, across your walkthroughs, across in your meetings. The language has to stay the same, right? And ask yourself, when we're thinking about your goals, ask yourself, could a new staff member walk in and know what matters here within 24 hours? And it wouldn't even take 24 hours. Could a new staff member walk in here and know what matters here? Honestly, think about that. I need you to think about that. The way you have your goals visible in your building right now, could a new staff member walk in and know what matters in your building within the next day or 24 hours, right? If that's I'm not sure, or they should, then your goals are not as visible as they could be. So I need you to consider that. Okay. The second move that you can make is define what good looks like. What does good look like? Don't just say use small groups. Show them what that looks like in your building. And yes, this means, and I've heard some school leaders say that they are not modeling instruction. And I'm sorry, but as a school leader, you are the instructional leader of the building. You should be in classrooms doing some modeling, because your coach may not know, especially if it's a new coach in the role. Just because you slap a title on someone's name and you put them in a new role under this title, it doesn't mean that they know what should be happening. And so you, as the instructional leader, go in and model what that looks like. Use teacher exemplars, right? Have them annotate student work, record model lessons, have your teachers go into model teacher classrooms, debrief on what you've seen. At your ILT meetings, compare your walkthrough notes. This calibration is absolutely necessary, and it should be happening every single week. You calibrating your notes, what your walkthrough instructional leadership team members' notes number 1, instructional leadership team members' notes number 2, everybody's notes. You're comparing them. What are the things that you're seeing across the board? What are the things that you're seeing in specific teachers' classrooms? Look at your feedback. Look at your ILT's feedback to those, to your staff, to specific teachers. Are they on the same level? Are they providing fluff, or are they giving real time feedback where the teacher can actually implement some of the strategies suggested? Are you tracking what good looks like based on how, is based on your instructional leadership team actually meeting with staff? Okay. So instead of saying like, I'll give you an example of one way that you can shift the dynamic and understanding what good looks like. So instead of saying a formative assessment, you can say in every lesson, teachers check for understanding at least twice in the math lesson, or during think pair share, or whatever part in the lesson specifically. Be very specific. So again, as the school leader, the instructional lead of the building, you need to define what that looks like. Okay. The third move is make the systems self-sustaining. I meet with a lot of school leaders, and the conversation is around the systems that they want to introduce or start doing. And my question to them is to think about what it looks like in 60 days. You want to introduce the system, which is great, right? Which the reason why you want it is great, but what does that look like in 60 days? So you're moving from systems to self-sustaining. If you're the only one noticing missteps, by the way, as a school leader, I hate to say this, but you are the system. And that's what you need to move away from, so that you are not burning yourself out. Okay. So making the system self-sustaining means you have to assign who will follow through on specific tasks, right? Who's going to review the data? Who's going to give the feedback? Who's going to lead the follow-ups, right? And the check-ins? Who's responsible for hosting the collaborative meeting? Who's responsible for making sure that the teachers are submitting data before the meeting? Like, you have to assign and not assume that your leadership team members are going to pick up and just do it. And you don't want that anyway, because you're looking for clarity. So you assign the tasks that need to occur, right? So this way it's self-sustaining. They know if it's assigned to them, they're doing it every single time, right? On a cycle. Then you can rotate the leadership roles to normalize who owns the leadership. So, for example, you have a strategic thinker as a part of a role who's actually pushing for clarity and those kinds of things, which is really important for you to have, by the way, a strategic thinker role. You rotate who's going to be that strategic thinker. Who's going to take note, like every role in your system, your meetings, rotate those roles so that everybody has an opportunity to, share in the leadership and the ownership. Okay. If you are watching the replay, share your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking so far about how, like, these three clear moves to define the win. So again, the first move is to make your goal visible. Keep the language consistent across coaching, across walkthroughs, across your meetings, right? And the litmus test here is, could a new staff member walk in and know what matters here? So make your goal visible. That's the first move. The second move is to define what good looks like. Norm on that so that your team understands what that looks like, what it feels like. Okay. Record model lessons, annotate the student work. Student work is your biggest lever for understanding what students know and understand, not those tests, not assessments. But the student work and looking at student work, that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. Okay. At the ILT meetings, calibrate your feedback weekly as a team, so all of you understand what good looks like in your building for your community, your school community. And then the third move is making systems self-sustaining. And again, I'll say this: if you are the only one noticing that there's a misstep, you are the system. Period. And you should not be. Okay. So rotate some of the leadership roles to normalize shared ownership. It's about increasing the level of responsibility and ownership of members on your instructional leadership team, so you are not the system as the principal. So just to as a little plug in here, this is how AI can actually help you and assist where in these three moves. Okay, so this doesn't have to be one more thing. AI can actually help lighten the lift when it's used right. So here are three low lift ways to use AI. So you could use it, and I've said this before, to summarize your walkthrough notes. Paste your notes in AI, ask it what trends do you see, what themes do you see, right? Who needs to follow up? Another way that you can use AI is you can draft clear teacher expectations. So you can ask AI to rewrite this PD slide into a one-pager that defines what success looks like. Let it give you and once it gives you the output, you have that as a foundation and you can build from there, right? It starts the thinking. Another way, the third way that you can use AI to help with this lift is you can create a follow-up tracker for your instructional leadership team, right? So it can generate a table like the teacher, the focus area, the last feedback, the next steps. Now, naturally, it's not going to input the information in there for you. That is something that you have to put in, but it can help you generate a table, right? If you don't already have a system built in. So again, the goal is to protect your focus for leadership. It's not to say that AI is going to take over and automate your leadership, because it absolutely cannot do that, but it's to protect it. Okay. So those are three moves. I just shared three low lift ways that you can use AI for those things. And I've talked about this in previous Lead Beyond Limits episodes, which you can go back, and I'm on YouTube as well, and go back and take a look at those videos that specifically mention AI, because I go really deep on how you can use those things. If you are, how you can use AI, if you are having some challenges with how to create prompts, on my website, there is an ed leader prompt builder that will help you create a prompt that you can copy and paste into any AI tool that you want to use. And so that is drivenllc.com/ed leader prompter. And it'll take you directly to the page. You plug in a couple bits of information like what school you're at, what your role is, those kinds of things, and what you want to do. And it'll create a prompt for you, a really good prompt for you to put into an AI tool to give you the information that you need. Okay. But today's focus, people, was really about how you can define the win. How can you define the win and fix any confusion that your leadership team may be feeling? Because trust me, confusion in your leadership team is going to be very problematic. It's going to create a culture gap in your building. Okay. And I know that you don't want to drain trust, and I know that you want to make sure that you and your team are moving as one band, one sound. Any staff member going to any member of your leadership team will get the same response pretty much, right? That's the goal, right? To define what good looks like, to make goals visible, and to make systems self-sustaining, so you are not the system. Okay? So here's what I need for you to do. I need you to commit to a couple things today, especially because we have the summertime and this is the prime time to do it. I need you to commit to a couple of things today. I need you to think about, and especially in your clarity and confidence reflection guide, I need you to think about one step you can take this week to define the win. What are you going to think about? Are you out of those three moves? Okay. Making systems self-sustaining, defining what good looks like, and making your goals visible. Which one of those things are you going to commit to working on and defining the win this week? Okay. That's something that you work on with your team. Think about it for yourself, reflect for yourself as the leader. Right? That's really important for you to get grounded in your thoughts first and then share with your leadership team to have a bigger conversation. Okay. So your challenge now is I want you to think of one thing that you can clarify publicly. Once you think about the one step that you can take this week to define the win, I want you to, what's the thing that you'll clarify publicly? One expectation that you'll revisit and define more clearly, and one system you will stop owning alone. Please stop owning them alone. You're going to burn out. We need you. So stop owning those things alone. I hope this has been helpful. Drop some comments and send me a message if you want the Clarity and Confidence Reflection Guide. So join me next week for episode 2, where I'm going to talk, where the topic is you stopping the silo, right? How to create one coaching plan for your entire team. Until then, keep leading beyond limits, everybody. I'll see you next week.